All right, this call is now recorded. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome to the weekly meeting of the OpenStack Technical Committee. Uh, and we are going to have this meeting simultaneously over video and on the OpenStack TC channel on OFTC, where we'll be taking the meeting notes and keeping track of all the discussion items there. So if you would like, please feel free to type out whatever you'd like on the TC channel as usual. And we'll get started with our uh, agenda. And the agenda link is on the TC channel right now. Let's do a roll call. Feel free to type out there. I can note folks that are here as well. All right, I think we have everyone that we usually see around these calls. Frickler doesn't join the video calls. He might be online on the IRC channel. Let's get started with last week's AIs. We had a
I
few.
somehow saw that this was extended only to Zoom video calls, but I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. We can check again. So this is one more thing that we check at the end of the cycle or the beginning of the new TC term. Are folks
Yeah, I
comfortable
think
with these calls?
we checked many times or sometimes. So I think he was also against the video call, not just the Zoom. Because when we always wanted to not rely on just Zoom, so that's why we checked, and there was no clear answer that if we switch from Zoom, you can join or not. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's get started with the action items from last week. So we discussed something around the migrate to Whiskey scripts goal. So migrate the Whiskey scripts goal, and that's a proposal on the governance repo, and a lot of you folks have looked at it already. That's the link. Feel free to take a look and +1 if you've not already. It is unusual for us to go from proposed to closed, but this one's a special case, as we discussed. The next one that we were discussing last week was around continuing the discussion on the Monaska repository retirement on Gerrit. And in this one, I did see a couple of other review comments from folks after this. We're still at the same kind of logjam as we did. I've not heard back from the the contributor that did want to continue maintenance. And very specifically, I think we ought to link them to the aspect of requesting a namespace on OpenDev and seeing if that's an option. They did indicate that they would be okay with moving all of the repositories under the X namespace, but that might be because they were misunderstanding what that stands for.
And no, it's not a move. OpenStack keeps its version of the repo under the OpenStack namespace with a big retirement commit and all that. It's a fork.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just at least that's how OpenStack has decided to do things.
Okay.
Yeah. So Munaska thing, what's the plan? Like, are we going to retire it, or we are going to accept the volunteer whoever is and give time at least one cycle to them?
I think unofficially we have done that, the aspect of leaving it inactive in this cycle. We've just not noted it. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm not in a rush to get it done personally. That's my opinion. But we started the retirement patches and so on. So this dialogue is helping, like talking on that governance patch. So we'll propose this new thing, which is that they would fork the repos under the OpenDev Gitya instance,
I
basically.
mean, see, the fork and everything is the separate thing. What I'm saying, like, the TC decision is just to decide whether we are retiring the project, even there is a volunteer or not, right? Obviously, they can fork it, they can create their own open source thing. They don't need to be in OpenDev or OpenStack, right? So the only key thing is, like, we know there is one volunteer asking to maintain the project, and we are going to retire it.
Right.
So that's the a very key thing. And why I'm like I'm not much worried about how Monaska was in past or in future. I'm more worried about, like, this will be a reference for future, where people can say that you had the volunteer but you still retired the project. So we should have some clarity in documentation or some solid reason that why we are, because all the time until now has happened when there was zero volunteer or zero maintainers. That was the only reason TC has retired the project. So that's the thing. Like, we need to prepare some reason or the solid, means some policy or documentation about this as an exception.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I get. Yeah, basically, my main concern is basically about the fact that we would be needing to be. Sorry, sorry, my English isn't wrong. I mean, my only concern is whether we are honest. That's basically what I'm saying. Why? If basically, I also reviewed, of course, the other change for showing the inactive projects. So now, if we are accepting it, now basically, if you look at all the projects, you basically know that Monaska is inactive. So then we are basically honest. But so basically, if we are done with that, okay, then we'll be honest. But I would prefer to be more honest than just to say it's inactive. This is more than inactive. This is how to say that. I would say, please don't use at the moment Monaska. That's what I would say.
I guess also the problem is that other projects are starting to phasing Monaska out. So pretty much like ecosystem around like Monaska as a project is dying anyway, and without this like ecosystem, it's worse, kind of. Not nothing, but very limited use cases for it. I guess.
I mean, also I don't want to discuss about technical discussion, like, but actually we already discussed that like previous week, and what I'm saying is that what I want to say is that if it's simple just to move, I'm not saying something else, but like just to move Monaska to let's say just basically just to continue to use what we have for open infra, but like Gerrit and all the jobs, but not by saying OpenStack, like using their own project name, like Monaska/Monaska or something like that. If it's that simple just to move of the OpenStack namespace to some other namespace, and if it's simple as well to move it back, then I wonder why we are afraid of moving it, because again, then we are basically honest, right?
Yeah, moving back, I remember we had one example, Neutron FWS or some Neutron sub-project under Neutron where we had gone to the non-OpenStack namespace, then coming back to OpenStack namespace. So coming back is not very, the big thing, because again, TC has to evaluate that as per the new project application, and having that passed under the OpenStack namespace obviously give more context, like why it can be in OpenStack namespace. So yeah, if we are okay, like moving back is not the big thing for us, then of course we can ask them, if you wanted to show some progress and you still intend to be in OpenStack, then there is a way to do that. And even if we wanted one more cycle for them, the new volunteer, I'm really concerned on that. When Gautam, you pointed that they are from the same employer, the previous PTL and the new guys coming up. So I'm not 100% sure if what agenda or what policy they have. It's a different department or something within the same company. So giving a one cycle to the new volunteer for be inactive and show the progress to us, that can be a lot less work for OpenDAV as well as for OpenStack. If we are thinking like we can move them to other namespace and then we are okay to take them back, that will be more work, but still doable. But instead of that, what's harm of giving one more cycle as an inactive status to them and avoid this going back and forth work? Right.
I agree with the.
But it's,
Sorry, Dimitri, just give me
yeah, I
one
mean,
sec on the.
it's not.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So I wanted to say that while it's doable to just move to different namespace, I'm not sure if it's like that trivial also to like keep and make CI work in integrated way like we do today, because it's anyway a different tenant, so it will have a different set of jobs which are like not really shared between like tenants, between namespaces. So it's not that trivial, also not saying about like things like secrets or things like that, like project keys, which will be different. I'm not sure if they're using it at all, but if they do, then they would need to encrypt everything that's like is encrypted.
Dmitry, I understand, and that's definitely a valid point. I tried to look last time at the jobs, but I was wrong. So indeed, if we move and they are not able to continue to use like the same jobs that they have, given for the moment this is difficult for them to work on Monasca, indeed they will have more problems. But just to be clear, my main concern again is about how to make sure that, for example, if I am an operator, how to know that Monasca is at the moment not good. My main concern with having it in the OpenStack namespace is basically if I look at GitHub. Just saying GitHub because I'm an operator and I basically maybe either don't know or something else, but basically I'm not really knowing about the TC. I'm just an operator and I see in some link that Monasca is here. Then I'm looking at GitHub. And GitHub doesn't tell me that Monasca is inactive. I'm seeing it still in the OpenStack namespace. So that's why I'm thinking if we continue to use it in OpenStack namespace, I understand because it would be simpler for the contributors to be able to work on Monasca because then indeed I understand that, but then I think we need to have a way. I don't know about how to do it, but for each, and that's also the other problem that I have with Monasca, that like they have a lot of repositories. But if I'm an operator and I'm looking at the repositories, I should be able to know basically like by the way, I see this is inactive for the moment, or this is like a POC, or I don't know, and this is like experimental. That way to know about that. Just because at the moment, yeah, that's where I'm afraid.
Yeah, and that's a separate issue, right? I mean, right now we just have one project under this inactive list, but and we've solved the problem for retired projects by making some documentation updates. If you go to a I mean, the documentation, it just redirects you back to the README of that repository. But we don't have any such thing for an inactive project, and we discussed this a while ago, and we were looking like for some changes to the doc templates and so on to add a big banner, perhaps. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
that needs to be a generic thing as opposed to okay, we need to do this for Monasca alone.
yeah, that's valid. Yeah, for our active project, I started doing that for the project YML thing, but again, that's just a very single thing, maybe just within TC. But as Silvan mentioned, like their GitHub repo under OpenStack / so maybe that README file should indicate more clearly
The state of
that this is
maintenance.
inactive or something. Yeah, that and doc also. Yeah, we have to do that.
Yeah, yeah, I agreed. I mean, I was thinking about the GitHub repository, but of course, documentation. My main concern is basically we can I mean, if it's just something about the TC, nah, basically operators wouldn't be knowing about that. But if I'm an operator, I would like to look at the Monasca documentation. I will try to look at I mean, I don't know, maybe something directly in Monasca, and then I will see, this is inactive. And I agreed with GitHub. This shouldn't be only for Monasca, but this should be for any kind of inactive project. Agreed. I don't know if we can do that automatically or if we need to do that manually. Also, I have a concern about how we can do that. I mean, as TC folks, if this is about modifying a specific project, I mean, I'm not a core, I'm not a Monasca core, so I have concerns basically how to merge that. But voila, that's maybe something we should be thinking for next. I mean, I hope that we won't have other inactive projects, but next time it arrives, we'll have the same problems. And I also personally think that if we want new contributors to some inactive project, maybe those people who should know more than the project is inactive, and then should be saying, oh, actually, maybe I could be helping them. Just, I mean, I know.
That was the point of the yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, it wasn't targeted at new contributors, but I mean, there could be a message to new contributors or contributors that have bandwidth to contribute to anything, that this is a project that needs help, and they could actually devote that time there. Yeah, we've not called out Monasca for one, any of those.
Yeah, that's my main concern actually. Initially, like that can be used as like, yes, we had the new contributor, but you are not allowing us to contribute where we want. Instead that means they might want to use Monasca, they are using Monasca or continuing Monasca, or any reason like they wanted to help there, right? So that's my main worry. Like, even though they are from same employer, but they are still new contributor and saying that we can maintain this project.
Yeah.
The past history is not good. We had many other volunteers saying that we want to do that and they didn't do it. But that doesn't mean we can eliminate, all the new contributors saying that you cannot do that now.
I think, I mean, if we are able to, I mean, fix the perception problem, which is what, like, I mean, I see this discussion is trending towards that. That seems like a good decision to take. But Amy?
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from. Oops, I tried to put my hand down. I can see where you're coming from, saying the company before has not done this or not done that. But yet at the same time, we're also talking about new contributors. So just because history of the company may not be great, that doesn't mean the history or the future of these contributors aren't going to be great. So I would take the fact that the company involved has let us down in the past. I wouldn't hold that against the new contributors. That's it.
Yeah, I agree with that, and probably this is the reason. This might be theoretically the reason why there is a new person showing up for the same company, just because it wasn't about the company in the first place. We don't know.
Right. Okay. I mean, this is all good information. There is that open governance patch from Gansham that makes an update to the projects.yaml that needs to be extended, of course, into a automation for documentation for the release team, etc. But that's a good starting point, I think, because that's the way we've driven other things. So please review that change. Just adding the rest of the folks here. Um, Anything else that we want to talk about today about this? I know this is going to continue for a while because I think the discussion on Gerrit is good. We can actually talk about it over there and then bring it back up into these meetings after we've reached some stage of agreement. Any other concerns to share for today? All let's move on. So our next AI that we had was to remind folks to renew their membership for the upcoming elections. I mean, we've not done this. Honestly, I think, but we've done other things. So one towards the end of the last week's discussion, we started talking about how part of the electorate. I mean, the electorate has shrunk because of this renewal requirement that might have probably missed people's attention and so on. And we are starting to see some emails sent to the election officials about confusion in the process because some of them expected to be able to vote, but they were not, they didn't receive their ballots. And election officials are talking through each of those cases right now. But this particular AI, I think, was forward looking. There's nothing we can do for this election because the polling is underway. So we're not going to change the electorate that we've already captured and sent ballots to. If anything, there are some folks that have not turned on their email receptions in CIFs and so on. They have not opted in for emails. Those things are being fixed. I mean, there's a new email that Ian and Slavik will send out, which will remind folks to go click some buttons, access their ballot, and cast their vote if they're reading those emails. But forward looking, this is for the next set of the next election, for instance. I think we need some more reach out from us, from the foundation, etc., to try and get more folks to be renewing their memberships, I think. So I'll catch up with I think folks in the foundation, and I'll also do a sort of a recap to the next board meeting, which is a week from now. And I don't know if folks anticipated the impact of the changes on the OpenStack elections. I know the board elections, there was still some more time, but we had the OpenStack elections even before that. So I'll follow up on both these counts. But anything else that had to be discussed here?
I think I just wanted to note two things. One was Jeremy thought that it's part of the problem here is also that fewer people who are newer contributors are signing up for membership, regardless of whether it's the old system or the new system. So he's been asking, and I don't know if anyone's done it, to kind of look at the more general trend around that. But if people are sending specific emails asking questions, then at least in those cases, we know why they can't vote. But as for the broader problem, 10 years ago, everyone was a member. The people were highly engaged with the governance and all of this. And in the last few years, there's been a distinct shift away from that. It seems like there's fewer contributors who are doing those extra steps. And then the other thing, I don't know for sure because I'm not an expert in the bylaws, but I think for the board election, it's actually they have to take the membership even earlier than the OpenStack elections, because there's you can't be a new member and vote. You have to have standing for at least a period of time. And I can't remember what that period of time is, but I think it's early enough that it's actually the other way around. The board stuff takes effect sooner than the TC thing because of that requirement.
Yeah, I just put it in channel. It's 180 days for the board election. So a much longer time period for the TC.
Did you put something on the TC channel, Amy?
I thought I just did. Yes, I did. 180 days.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't come through, I think. Maybe
Yeah.
Matrix. But yeah, it usually.
It's coming from Matrix then. I apologize. Sometimes I'm delayed. But yeah, it's 180 days for the board elections that you have to be a member of the foundation. And for the TC and PTL, it's shorter. If people would have just clicked the box before the roles were pulled off. I think they were fine. On the TCPTL side, I think it's the contribution is more important for length of time than the foundation membership. But yeah, we normally do find, even back when I was an election official, that people weren't voting in the board election, therefore they were getting removed as a foundation member and didn't even know it until they didn't get a ballot.
Makes sense. All right. That's all for this AI. I did link the other election repo change. Feel free to take a look and vote on it. And we'll continue that, um, the election reach out specifically directly. And there was, at the very end of the last week's discussion, there was a couple of other AIs. One was the one on Cinder and the situation with Phone Home from a specific driver proposal. And I haven't heard back from John Bernard on that, and I can check again on that. And the final AI that I see is on the job templates for the 2026.1 runtime. I don't know if I missed that, Gansham. Did you already propose that by any chance?
Sorry, which one you're talking?
This was the 2026 one runtime job
Yeah,
template.
so yeah, there are two template. One is to update that for stable slash 2025.2.
Okay,
That is must. And 2026.1 also up for review, but that's need to be wait until we open the current master for 2026.1. So I'll link the patch.
I
So
got it.
you can review it. It's in VIP state, but still it's there to review. Just add, yeah, thanks. Those one.
Perfect. Thank you so much for working on that. All right, that's all the AIs I was tracking. Anything else from anybody else? Going once, going twice. Let's go to the next topic then. And this is leaderless teams from the last election. Sorry, from the nominations period. And I have an Etherpad for this. That's somewhere. Just give me a sec. That's the Etherpad. It's linked on the IRC channel. So we had four, and our friend Monaska is right on top. and we can ignore that for now while we're discussing on the governance change. But we do have um, to take some action on the other three that are on the list. One of them seems obvious to me on Venus. There has been no activity since the last um, release, and on Vitraj, I think Dimitri, did you have a case that you wanted to share?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, no. So you were discussing with Takashi on the OpenStack Discuss mailing list regarding how the maintenance for Vitraj was going, and you were the past PTL. So, what's your take on that project?
Oh, you mean Vitrage?
Hmm.
Yeah. So eventually, I kind of, well, pretty a bit shifted for me. So I wasn't like going for PTL this time around. There are we mainly fixed issues, except like 3 Tempest tests are still failing. And I'm not sure the reason why. And they are failing basically on like graphs. So when Vitrash is building like graphs of resources, so it expects one amount of resources in API outputs, but it's a different amount of resources. So it could be like just changes in Tempest or like in resources that are created by default in your release. And the numbers of resources are hard coded in Tempest tests. So maybe it's a matter of like of pumping amount of like resources that we should expect. But I didn't have time to dig like deeper than that into temp specifically. All unit tests are passing as of today. So potentially, I mean, it can be low effort to fix pipelines for it.
I see. And does that, I mean, which means that release is blocked, right? Because the tests are failing. I know the unit tests are passing, but the others, are they like voting?
Uh, I think they I think the Tempest tests are non-voting right now
Okay.
for Vitrage itself. They're still voting for Vitrage Tempest plugin repo,
Okay.
and maybe like I'm not sure about like dashboard plugin or something like that. I would need to check it. I will. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe next week I will have some time to look into this one more time and do like adjustments, or at worst just blacklist these 3 failing Tempest tests because other 50 like are fine. And it's not that they like are causing like any API issues or any stack traces. It's just mismatch of expected amount of resources, and eventually Vitrash reports more resources than is expected. So it's not like zero or less resources. It's like just more resources than it expects to see.
Yeah, the reason I was asking the release question was I think a couple of weeks ago, Elon mailed the mailing list asking for folks to look at failing jobs on the master branch for many repos, and I was wondering if Vitraj was part of that.
It was in terms of Tempest plugin only. So
Hmm.
in this mailing list, Vitrage Tempest plugin repo was included, but not Vitrage itself.
Okay. Okay, so in terms of what to do next, I mean, I'm just copying the template from. I'm not sure if it was Jay or Gansham that put it together. We have options, so we need to find PTL volunteers to drive these projects forward. Or if there are multiple maintainers but not anybody that wants to take the whole sole responsibility, we could suggest the DPL model. Um, we could also turn the team into a SIG if there is a SIG out today. So if there is a team that's there, um, or see if these deliverables can be part of another team, or suggest retirement or moving out to another namespace as we're discussing with Monasca itself. Um, the situation with charms is interesting because there is a lot of development activity. There are folks that are contributing, but I cannot reach these folks. Every cycle I tend to talk to the PTL or the existing PTL, or try to find somebody else to escalate the matter to, and I get back a response for that, but that's pretty much it. I hate that the reach out always has to be done from the TC, and it's not the other way around. From the project team really doesn't need anything from us, or doesn't report in any way a status or something. The discussions do not happen on IRC. I went chasing a defunct Discord channel, and then some other place on Slack, etc. So it feels like a chase to try to find what's going on with the project teams.
Then honestly, I have a serious concern. Honestly, I have serious concerns about this specific project and why it should continue to be on the OpenStack namespace. Let me explain why. Say that we have some security issue. For example, the governance says that if we find some CVE, then we could tell the project to fix it. But if we are not able to ping them correctly, if we're not able to know how to tell them, then we're not able to be able to know whether the project works correctly or not. And there are reasons why every project could continue to discuss not only with the TC, but with the community. And that's why I'm saying I'm afraid of the project community and what it happens if something happens.
Right. And so that kind of breaks our project team guide suggestion that things have to be open, right? Like you should be reachable. It can be async for sure, but not completely absent. um, yeah. All right. So I think what I'm going to do first is we'll try an email with all of these project teams on the OpenStack discuss list. Give them a week to respond, and then we'll come back to these options. How does that sound? That's been our usual process. Um, Although, I mean, the election results have also been posted. Sorry, the election updates have also been posted, calling these teams out. But let's do a specific email as well. All right. No objections. Thank you. Let's go to the next topic on the list. Tagging retired packages on PyPy. So this was something that Jeremy was chatting about on the TC channel a while ago. It's again related to our inactive and retired projects. I mean retired projects mostly. So we have a whole bunch of packages that are on you know on PyPy that we have not really posted updates to. And we know that they're retired, but there wasn't any PyPy related information or rather metadata that was available in the past. But right now, I think there is a new API that allow you to read the status of a PyPy project. Um, I'm sure Jeremy could articulate this very well. But let me check if I can find that link. So this was the update that was shared on the PyPy blog. So project status markers, you can find a whole lot of things, including the spec about what those markers be. So you could have active, archived, quarantined, deprecated. And these semantics mean something even to the to PyPy itself, as far as can package updates be made and so on. So the suggestion here was to try to use this now that it's available. And there isn't an API to go set the status. As with many things PyPy, we'll have to do that manually. And Jeremy was offering to do that, except we ought to have a list of all the things that we ought to update. And the Etherpad there is a compilation of all of those legacy PyPy packages, and this was sourced from projects.yaml and legacy.yaml. We do have a good number, I think. Over 150-ish. All right. Any objections with doing this or taking this forward? Or folks, do you need more time to assess what this would mean in terms of implications?
Actually, that's interesting because, for example, for Monasca, only see one pipe repository. All right. I mean, one pipe package for Monasca.
Yeah, and that's because it's not retired yet.
I see. I see. Good.
This list is only the ones that we have already, taken out of the
previous retired ones. Okay, got it. Got it. Thanks. Okay. Again, one thought. If a project is inactive, should we continue to have some packages for those? Maybe one stable package. But anyway, let's not discuss that now.
No, it's a good question because I was going to clarify that when a project is inactive, the project team can still request releases. It's just not automatically done, and so that applies to even PyPy packages. They can update their request an update to their PyPy packages through the
Yeah. Sure. I get that. I mean, a project being inactive doesn't mean it isn't maintained, right? because sure, you can have new releases if you want, but on some points, sometimes some project is inactive. We know that it's no longer working. For some reasons, we are just waiting for the community to fix those. But then why should we continue to use the should we continue to provide the packages if we know that those are not working? That's just an open question there. But again, we don't have time because we only have like 6 minutes now.
Yes. All right. So if there are no objections, I'm going to add this to the tracker. And find that. I don't know if we need some sort of a resolution as such, but I was going to start with just adding a documentation update to the project retirement document that we have that that suggests adding. That suggests a step saying this package is now going to be marked. Its status is going to be marked because it's being retired, and we do that as part of the retirement steps. And with that, we can go use the same thing to update all the existing retired repositories at some point and slowly, because this is done manually. It'll take some time. All right. Okay, that's it. Let's move on to the next topic. It's gate health. We're a few days past feature freeze. Have there been any interesting things going on in the gate?
I wanted to note that the Debian Trixie nodes that we have are actually Debian testing due to the way things were configured to get images out before the official release. And then after the release, there was a bug preventing us from actually switching it to the proper release. So fixing that is in progress. I don't think many things are using the new Debian release yet, so I don't think the impact there is huge, but I wanted to note it.
Thank you. Feel free to drop in any links and things. Anything else regarding the gate? If not, the last 4 minutes that we have, I wanted to bring it to open discussions. There are a couple of topics that I do see. We don't have to talk about them. They could become topics in the next meeting. But if you've added this and you want to talk about it, feel free.
Yeah, one topic was from me basically about MySQL MariaDB charset set collections with regard to like change behavior in MariaDB 11.8. But we can discuss it next meeting. It's not that urgent.
Do you have a link?
Yes, I do. I will send it. It's eventually raised from Magnum bug. which I found recently. And then during discussion on meeting on Magnum meeting during the day, it was like suggested if we might want to discuss like overall recommendations and approaches to default charge sets escalations to be used, and potentially like see if we might want to upgrade to something more modern like UTF-8 and B4 or something like that. But I will send it. Just a sec.
Thank you. Yeah, let folks digest that a bit and we can talk about it next week. I'll move that topic to the top section. And the same concern was with Alma Linux. I added it there because it was left as a comment on the runtime update. And if folks here are more familiar with Alma than I am, please feel free to chime in next week. I'll move that topic as well.
If you need me to grab some Alma people to attend, let me know.
I think that would be helpful. I think so far we've not had much here. We've had one or two folks that know that work on Rocky that also help with the Rocky Linux integration in the CI, but we don't
Okay.
have those folks in doing the same with Alma. Maybe there is interest, but I'm not sure we have anybody with.
I know they put in a patch for Cola, I think. As soon as my matrix is working again, I'll reach out to one.
Thank you. That'll be helpful. All right. Nice. Thanks for the links, Dimitri. All right. Last minute. Anything else that you want to note for the minutes? All right, let's wrap it up. Thank you all for attending. I'll close the meeting here and on the IRC channel shortly. I'll see you next week.
Thanks all.